Some brands are legendary. In every category, someone sets the standard, and some companies create raving fans. Join Scott Wozniak and Caitlin Johnson of Swaz Consulting as we dig into the tactics and tools behind great organizations. How did the legends do it? And how can you become a legendary brand too? All right, Caitlin, we've been talking about the hiring process, which is one of the critical factors for operational excellence, have excellent people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been going through this 3C framework that we love. We dove into character. How do you actually do it right? And then we're on to the next one, which is chemistry.
That's right.
And if you've not listened to the previous ones, you really got to go back and get the last two episodes. They're a package deal here. So we're not going to rehash all of the character things or why all this matters, except I'll just say the third one is character chemistry competence. And most people only look at competence in their hiring process, which leaves out 2/3 of the problem issues that you might have. And so, but I would say, character and chemistry often get confused. There's overlap, right?
Right.
You're a nice person, so you have good chemistry, right? We really like her. She's great. And so often we get the question, what's the difference between character and chemistry? And is it just being nice people? And
yeah, it's a great question.
And it's not. So part of this is because we're trying to do alliteration, right? The 3 C's. So
because it's fun.
It is. And if you want to be scientific, the memory triggers, it's easier to remember, blah, 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 right? Okay, so
that's right.
Character is a good word, but probably not the perfect word. It's just the one with C that we can come up with. It's more about values and passions and core things that drive you in your worldview, right?
That's right.
It's not just being generally a nice person, which that's somehow we use it in general English, right? He's got good character.
Good character.
Right. Yeah. No, it's more the deep core passions. And so chemistry, I think the most typical time I use it is a romantic chemistry, right? Those two.
Not that kind.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Our HR and legal people really want to tell you that this is not a romantic.
Stay away from chemistry. Yeah.
Thank you. But I think it gets that idea, right? In the movies, the two actors really have chemistry or not, and it feels this thing. And it's not just being a nice person or having fun. It's communication skills. It's some personality style stuff, but it's less about, again, the big mistake I would say is thinking it's all about extroverts, right? Good chemistry.
Outgoing, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's what we think about, right? It's actually, a good example of this is salespeople. If you ask people what a man on the street,
that's the point. Yeah.
What does it take to be a good salesperson? The kind of answers you get, right? Well, I'll put you on the spot. What's the stereotype for salespeople?
Outgoing, talkative, relationship builders, that thrive on that human to human connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the research on excellent sales performers, when they look across the industries and say, who's the best performers, and then they go back and test their personality, what type they have, it turns out the majority of them are introverts.
No way. I would never have guessed that.
Totally. Now, not 80%. It's 61 to 39, right? But it's almost, two-thirds, one-third kind of scenario, a little bit off that. But the majority are introverts because partly, most people don't understand what sales is. We've got the TV definition of the sales guy who's knocking on your door and in your face.
Right.
Pushy,
a little pushy. Yeah.
Nobody likes that, right? It turns out nobody wants to buy from that guy. And especially when you think about business to business sales, where it's not a one-hit transaction and then I'll never see you again. It's a relationship. Who's really good at building long-term relationships of trust? A lot of introverts, right? Because introverts are not antisocial. They just have a different number of people they want to build relationships with.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So they'll build maybe more meaningful relationships with smaller amounts of people and then maybe make bigger amounts of money because of that relationship.
I mean, seriously, that's my guy. I trust him. she's the best. We always buy anything she says.
Yeah.
That deep trust. My favorite kind of this is not scientifically precise, but I think it's a good visual. Is you go to a party, the extrovert wants to talk to everybody in the party, and so they spend all night bouncing room to room to room, making
Yeah.
sure they hang
Social
out with
butterfly.
everybody. Right. The
Hmm.
introvert finds their people, sits in a corner, and 3 hours later they haven't left that corner, and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
party
No,
ever.
you know what they're probably doing though is booking the next weekend of golf together, right? To
Yes.
make more
Yes.
business decisions. Yeah.
Because that in that room, that corner, all those people are besties,
That's
and they do
right.
everything together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, people skills is not how extroverted you can be. People skills is your ability to make that human connection. And
Hmm.
it is not magic. It's not luck. It's a set of abilities. Now, I do think you should be aware if you have a personality slant to your company, how that fits. But that is less about introvert, extrovert. That's the shallow stuff. It's more things like how formal and careful are we?
Okay.
How sarcastic or
Mm.
joking of a culture are we?
Hmm.
These can be both really nice people,
Hmm.
a very different environment, and so you get a little bit of that, but a lot of this is not personality type. A lot of this is
Connection.
build relationships, establish trust. So, okay, so what that stirs up is a totally different set of questions than what are you passionate about? Because I was trying to say this politely, Caitlin, but like I know some nerds who have a lot of passion about core things, and they
Hmm.
do not have the social awareness to realize that everyone else in the room does not have the same level of passion for the niche
Yeah.
area that they are super passionate about.
Yeah, I'm scratching my head over here and be like, yeah, yeah, I might know a couple. But then on
Yeah.
the flip side, I also know of some very gregarious individuals who are hyper focused about things. And then they almost go off tip on the other side of the scale, egotistical, and can't stop talking about
Yes.
the thing that they love.
Yes. Again, this is your classic mistake. I can think of one guy in particular who I won't give any context, but dude can tell a story like nobody's business.
Hmm.
It's profound, it's moving, it's got deep insight, it's hilarious. And every time I've been in meetings with him, he doesn't work for us. He's other
Hmm.
organizations I have been to and worked with. He takes over the room and he talks the entire time, talks over people, won't stop telling these stories. And so the first story, you're like, this guy's the coolest guy in the room.
Yeah, right.
2 hours later, you're like, this guy has no idea that anyone else wants to talk in this room.
Hmm.
It's not communication skill like how good can you present. That's probably a really good catch, Caitlin,
Yeah.
because that's the other mistake, right? Is it think communication? Well, how good of a public speech person are you? It's actually probably the opposite. How good of a listener are you?
You know, yes. And I think it truly goes back to connection because I think even if you were to say how good of a public speaker you are, in order to really have your audience hear your message, you need to connect with them.
Mm,
So talking a lot, but then finding the right times to pause and ask interesting questions so that the audience can really digest what you're saying and connect to it. And I guess so if you were to say nerd or not, nerd or ego person, if you're not reading the room to connect with the people around you, then you're missing the chemistry piece.
yes. So before we go into exactly how you check for it and what are the various skills and all this, I want to talk about why this matters.
Mm,
Operations. This is in our operational excellence gear in our engine. Like,
yes, it
why
is.
is it just because they're annoying or not annoying and it makes it more fun and all that stuff? And some people I've heard be like, nah, listen, at work, it's just professionals. I don't need them to be my friends. Who cares? No, there are real operational impact on whether this is the case or not. I'll give a few examples. Um,
Okay.
if you have this kind of real connection and we're able to have an honest, part of what happens is I'm willing to be honest and vulnerable and real with you or not. If I don't
Mm,
think you're going to listen, if I don't like you, if I don't think you like me, these fluffy, surfacey things can be like, we're in a meeting, it's a hard moment, you're pitching a project plan that you're going to go do, reporting to the team, and it's bad, right? Maybe it's me, I'll put myself in the spot. I'm like, this is my plan. And you're thinking, that's not a good plan, Scott. If you
right.
don't have a real relationship, how likely is it that you're going to be able to step in and be like, Scott, I got to interrupt you. That's
Mm-hmm.
not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And how likely am I to listen to that? Let's say you're just a
Mm.
brave, courageous person who does it anyway. Well, I've listened to you. I bet sadly, you know a lot of people who I've given some good feedback to, and they have decided they didn't need it and paid
Right.
the price. But yeah, it gets there's so you end up or I've seen this. You have to have the meeting after the meeting or the meeting before the meeting.
Oh
You can't
gosh,
actually cover
yes.
it all in the meeting because we can't be honest in
Mm-hmm.
the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If there's group chemistry, we can all just go there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
nobody's going to get weird or defensive or I'm not willing to
Mm-hmm.
say that in front of so and so. And so this alone speeds up your ability to make decisions, handle problems.
Oh yes.
Tremendous impact on
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm hearing a couple of other characteristics behind competence. So we've mentioned being able to connect, right? Would you say, trust, creating
opportunity.
environments of trust is huge from this chemistry standpoint? Okay.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Some trust is the you're good and you care, but most of this stuff, when we talk about trust, is one of those fuzzy words, right? We're like,
Mm-hmm.
trust. What do you mean, right?
Right.
Trust in
Yeah.
my technical ability versus trust in my good intentions. Versus
Mm-hmm.
a third category of trust would be that you have my best interest at heart and I know you and I'm safe with you. And so I
Right.
occasionally people who are like, oh, they're good at their job, but I don't think they care for me, or vice versa. And maybe they've got that extended family member who's sweet as the day is long, but you wouldn't give her a lot of money to like take care of it.
Don't save your bank account number with.
Thank you, thank you. There's a lot of different kinds of trust, but one of the major factors on a healthy team is team trust, and that's what they're talking about. Can
Okay.
can we have honest, hard conversations because we actually trust each other? Or am I in the meeting trying to make sure I don't look bad because maybe then my job will
Mm-hmm.
be on the line or someone will come
Mm-hmm.
after me and they'll use it against me the next time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's massive. Okay, then you get that. Listen, when you do employee engagement stuff, which I know we're talking customer experience, but they overlap a little bit in this category,
Yeah, they
right? We're talking
do.
about hiring on the customer
Mm-hmm.
experience side because you can't do one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
One of the validated surveys, there's a lot of them that are out there. Some of the most validated questions include a question that says, I have a good friend at work.
Yes. I like
And
that question.
it sounds like, no, that doesn't matter. I just do my job. And the truth is, no, there's lots of validated studies that HR, the Society for Human Resource Management,
Yes.
SHRM, has done all that says,
Mm-hmm.
listen, there's a very high correlation. If you do have at least one true friend at work versus you don't, your engagement, the effort and energy that
Yes.
you put into the job is way higher. It's one of the factors. It's not all, there's more to it, but it is
Mm-hmm.
one of the pieces, one of the variables in the equation. If you want your people to do their best job, they have to feel like at least somebody knows and likes them, and vice
That's
versa.
a Yeah, absolutely. It's a motivational thing to be able to know that you've got someone you can connect to at work on that chemistry level, right? Where you don't have to try so hard to feel like you fit in or that you belong. And to your point, like psychological safety and being able to share ideas and push back on ideas. And
Yes.
so all of that is packaged within this chemistry theme that we're kind of talking about, right?
100%. Listen, whether you like it or not, well, humans are social animals. We
Mm-hmm.
are herd creatures and we thrive when we feel connected, appreciated. We like them, they like us back. When there's good chemistry, we work better. Maybe you're like, you don't want that to be a part of your company equation. Then you need to figure out how to hire other than humans, right? Like if you're hiring
Yeah.
humans, they
Mm-hmm.
have to have good chemistry or they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to show up well. And it's such a significant factor that we add it to our interview process to say, is there real chemistry or not? Because if there's not, this thing's not going to work. Again, to the super gregarious guy who's that particular guy, highly competent, done some epic big work and big deals and made a ton of money, and he's a mover and shaker. And I could tell you person after person who has said, I can't stand working with that guy.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
wish it was
Oh my
only
gosh.
one.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
described about 7 people that I have gotten to know and working. Yeah,
Yes. Okay. So yeah, if you, I mean, that's such a good barometer. If someone is missing the chemistry, They could be a really good person, right? They've got some strong values. They've got the character. They're good at their job. They've got the competence. But if then you say, oh, but I can't stand working with that person, then there's a chemistry missing beat.
That's right. They mean well. They are good at their job. They're passionate. If it's draining, this is out. We need this. So you can't skip this step. And we're gonna talk about that more in the next episode, but I'll leave with this teaser. I don't know how to find out their chemistry in a single interview.
Ooh.
There's stuff you can do in an interview, and I'll talk about that. But in a single conversation, the typical interview is going to be 30 minutes to an hour long, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to, and I've been trying for a long time. I don't know how to test for that and get a valid answer in a single hour-long conversation. Usually, the first interview is the least honest representation of their chemistry. And maybe
I could see that.
We can talk about why in our next episode.
I like that. I want to know why, and I want to know the questions that you ask to identify the chemistry.
All right, next time. If you enjoyed this episode, you might want to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's all new content with the same themes. You can subscribe for free and learn more about how we partner with our clients to build legendary companies at swazconsulting.com. That's www.swozconsulting.com. And if you want to get access to the actual tools and techniques that we use with our elite consulting clients, check out our online program at legendarybrandsacademy.com. That's www.legendarybrandsacademy.com. Greatness is possible. You just have to build the right engine.